Brought to you by Four Seasons Ford Lincoln Mercury, located just north of the Wex on Busy 131.
Hello, and thanks for logging on to this TV Cadillac election update. I'm Eric Watilla. As part of our continuing coverage of Michigan's primary election, Craig Romney, the son of Mitt Romney, has been kind enough to sit down in our studio for an exclusive interview. Well, Craig, thanks very much for being with us here today. Again, it's very great that you were able to spend some time here.
Thanks, it's good to be here. Well,
thank you again. And can you start off, can you give us a quick summary of your father's campaign platform?
Sure. You know, my dad has been campaigning across this country for quite some time now, and I think his central message has been that we need to ensure that America's future is brighter than its past. And he's confident that we can do that by strengthening our families, our military, and our economy. And I think that last principle is one that's particularly important to the people here in Michigan.
And like you said, that is a very, very huge factor for Michigan voters with the present state of the Michigan economy. Mm-hmm. Obviously, being such a big factor, can you elaborate on your father's plans to boost the economy?
Sure. You know, my dad was born here in Michigan, grew up here. My grandfather was a CEO of American Motors, who was out there promoting the Rambler. So my dad is someone who understands the Michigan economy. You know, he's spent his career in the private sector. Before he was governor of Massachusetts, he was a businessman for 25 years, creating businesses, invigorating businesses, turning around businesses that were struggling. And he's someone who understands why jobs come and go. And he's not only you know, interested in invigorating the American economy, but he wants to make sure that Michigan's economy gets back on top. And he's going to take a number of measures to do that. I think chiefest among them is going to be investing in you know, technology and research and innovation, particularly when it comes to alternative fuels and alternative energy sources to power this country.
Now, you've already covered this next bit a little bit, but can you elaborate a little bit on what some of the factors that distinguish your father from the other candidates would be? What distinguishes him in his ability to accomplish those goals?
Yeah, I think you know, one of my dad's greatest strengths is he's not a Washington insider. He thinks that at this point in time, you know, Washington is fundamentally broken, and it's going to take some serious change to get it back on track. And he just doesn't think that you know, changing chairs and you know, someone changing chairs in Washington is going to be able to do that. He thinks it's going to take a radical approach from someone coming from outside of Washington, which is, you know, I explained a little bit earlier, his experience in the private sector, but also his experience, you know, as governor, I think uniquely qualifies him to be able to bring about that change.
Awesome, awesome. Now, a major point that that your father has made is that America is one, and we should work together to bring change rather than working as, in his words, you know, two Americas. Mm-hmm. Can you elaborate on his plans for a unified America?
Yeah, sure. You know, I think, you know, he's someone who understands the importance of unity. He really didn't have a choice in Massachusetts. You know, when he was elected governor, I think the legislature there it was about 85 to 90% Democratic. So he obviously had to work on a bipartisan level to get things accomplished as governor. He was able to do that, you know, working together with the legislature, but also as a nation. I think we're going to have to come together as two parties in order to accomplish the challenges we're faced with at this point in time. You know, the illegal immigration, the economy slumping at this point, the threat of radical jihad and terrorism on our country. Our schools are failing us. You know, we have 47 million people uninsured. There are a lot of big challenges we're facing, and my dad has spent his career taking on difficult challenges and finding solutions for them. But in order to be able to do that, we're going to have to come together, you know, Republicans and Democrats alike, and solve those problems.
And of course, you mentioned a little bit on this next bit in your answer to that last question. But of course, foreign policy is a huge hot topic for voters, and I'm sure your father has some views on this issue as well. Can you give us a little bit of detail on that one?
Yeah, sure. You know, I think our image as a nation has suffered around the world, you know, the past few years, and I think one of his greatest priorities is restoring optimism to not only to ourselves, but restoring our image around the world. And you know, I think the greatest challenge we face, one of the greatest challenges, is that threat of terrorism, which I spoke of. And his plan, in order to be able to solve that, is, you know, if we've been very reactionary up to this point in time, reacting to attacks. We're going to have to take a proactive solution in order to solve this problem, and that's going to mean, you know, reaching out to moderate Muslim nations, reaching out with our friends, and making sure that those nations reject jihad themselves. We're not going to be able to force it on them, but we're going to do everything we can to encourage them to reject the violent jihad among their nations.
Well, awesome, and thanks again for being here. That just about wraps up the interview. But again, it was great to have you in our studio today, and we thank you for your time.
Thanks a lot. Good to be here.
And of course, we will be continuing our coverage of Michigan's primary election throughout the next few days. So stay tuned right here to tvcadillac.com for all your coverage of the elections. And that does wrap up this TV Cadillac election update. I'm Eric Wotilla. Thanks for logging on.